Thanks for tuning in to EDC Journeys. To see my overview of the TRM Atom, if you enjoy the video, hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. What is going on, EDC people, and what is our journey today? I am very excited to show you a knife that I have on loan from NeevesKnives. Jerad and Kara sent me 3 or 4 knives to take a look at and basically do an overview on, not necessarily a review, an in-depth review, but an overview, because they're not my knives, so I'm not going to be able to extensively test them the way I normally do with my knives. But I'm very excited to show you 2 things. First, I brought out the EDC bridge because it came unburied from the snow, despite the fact that it's snowing right now. But I brought it out because it kind of made me think, like, this knife represents a different genre of knives. Well, not a different genre. Let me just get to it. It's a hard knife to get, and it's a knife that I didn't think I was really going to be able to take a look at because of the difficulty in getting it and the cost. It's not a cheap knife. But it's also difficult to get because it's very, very popular, and well deserving. This knife is the TRM, which stands for Three Rivers Manufacturing, TRM Atom. This is the larger brother to the TRM Neutron. TRM just recently came out with TRM Shadow, which is the one with the what they call the river lock, which is essentially, the axis lock. But this is the Atom. Take a look. I can't go in order with my notes here because I have to just show you things as you see them, because you're clearly going to see them before I get to them. First off, let's look at the handle briefly before we look at the blade, or the scales. First off, you can see that the liners are titanium. Well, you can't see that, but they are titanium, but they are nested inside of this carbon fiber scale. I think they call it with it's got the wing pattern, and if you kind of look here, I guess that's what's called a wing, but what really, if you look at it, you can get, there's like texture on it, and I think I've got a little bit of schmutz on it, but there's texturing to it. It's like, I think it's even referred to as 3D carbon fiber maybe, but it's got like these flutes that run down it, and ultimately those flutes make this leaf design, and it's very nice, high quality carbon fiber all the way through to the scales. However, there is not that far to go because those scales are nested inside. So the scales are titanium, and look at all that pocket lint in there, because I have absolutely been carrying this like a proud, as if I was a proud TRM Atom owner. But I gotta tell you, first of all, I'm impressed with the quality. You got the 3 standoffs back here that are also titanium, a deep carry pocket clip that is titanium. You have a blade with an embossed or an engraved, I'm not sure what the correct term is, logo of TRM. That's their logo right there. Take a look at the stonewash on the blade. I absolutely love that. It's shiny still, as you can see. I'm trying to... However, it's done in a way that will mask a lot of scratches or any mars or nicks on it. You can actually kind of see my face in it, but not really, and I like that. It's a 2-phase process, if I remember right when I was reading their website. I don't have notes with me, but it is a 2-part process. I think they say it's a deburring process, and then a final tumbling with ceramic balls or something like that. Something to that effect. But wow, and so the bridge thing kind of is symbolic. I brought it out for this particular knife because, like I said, I didn't really think that I would be able to take a look at this knife, at least not for quite a long while, until they can become readily available. And I certainly probably wouldn't be able to afford these scales. Okay, let's move the bridge aside and let's discuss the TR Atom a little more in depth. So I do want to start off by, now that I do have my notes, giving you an exact quote from their website. And they say, manufactured and assembled in the USA utilizing US materials and suppliers. We proudly etch USA on every blade. Every part of the knife, as far as I understand and from everything I've heard, is made in the USA. For example, I believe that they get these titanium clips made for them still, though, in the USA. And that might be the same case for the barrel space standoffs. I'm not sure if they make them in-house or get them from another manufacturer, but regardless, every part of it is US made. And when they say they proudly print it on the knife, it is right there. And I'll try to angle it so you see it. TRM USA, and of course 20 CV, CPM 20 CV is the blade steel, which is a great steel overall if the heat treat's right and all that other mumbo jumbo. But specifically in a knife like this, where it's a small batch, it's got a good track record, and it's a small batch heat treat. So chances are you're going to get an optimal or a more optimal heat treat on a knife, on this knife, than you would on, say, and something that they mass manufacture. Here's an Elementum, and I'm not saying that that's a bad heat treat. I'm just saying that, you know what I mean. If it's a small batch knife, so it's able to be more closely monitored. A very tight tolerances. It has very tight tolerances on, both on the blade in all its processing, between the grind, the geometry, the edge, the steel itself, and the powderized CPM 20 CV being small. Like I keep saying, being small batched is a good thing. I believe. And I believe most people think that or believe that. It's kind of like when you go to get if you ever go into a liquor store, they often have small batch of bourbons or scotch or whiskey, whatever, anything like that, and it's a special select thing, and it's usually more expensive because it's not the mass manufactured product. It's something that they are doing more closer looking and close work on. So anyways, let me move off from that topic because I'm going down, spinning in circles here. Let's take a look. While we're still at the blade, it does have a choil for you to move your finger up here that I like. There's no jimping on the top, and on this knife I like that as well, and I'll discuss that more soon. Take a look at those thumb studs. It's early in the morning. I have to find my words still, and words are hard for me. They almost look like the top of a chess piece. I kind of imagine like a crown, meaning that it's at its proudest at the tip and kind of goes inward, like a cylinder or a cone. I don't know. I don't know how to describe the shape, but you can clearly see it. Which brings me to a point. TRM makes a ton of their own. I don't know if they should be called aftermarket because it's in-house made, but a ton of accessories or additional things you can purchase to do with your TRM knife. And why I brought up the thumb stud is they sell like little rings that go around the bottom, that go around the bottom where it's thinner. You must just snap them over, or maybe they're rubber and kind of just roll over the top. And it can give you like a pop of color. So, for example, let's say I wanted to, I was really into the color green. I might get a green one, or a red one, or a blue one, and maybe that like color accent would look kind of cool with this carbon fiber, for example. It's just a little touch of color, or you don't have to have it like this. Oops, that was a fail. Um, Before I talk about the action and stuff, I do want to continue on the customization part. It's not custom, it's customization. If you remove these two T6 bits or screws out, this scale can come right off, right over the pivot. You do not have to remove the pivot to take the scale off. You take off these two screws and off it goes. It's like a hot swap for scales. Same with the reverse side, except for you have to remove the pocket clip, and then it's that one screw there, and then the scale comes right off. And the nice thing is that TRM manufactures a ton of scales, some of which I've never even heard or knew existed. You have carbon fiber, like a regular carbon fiber, where it wouldn't have that wing, that 3D wing, and I think it just looks like this portion here by the pivot. They have the one with the wing, they have micarta, they have G10, they have G11, which I don't know. It's the first time I've actually ever heard of that. They have TEK wood, tech wood. They have G-Carta, which I'm assuming is a combination of micarta and G10 or G11. I don't know which one. And they even have more than that. And so that makes it really cool and it's at a reasonable price. Like, for example, if you take a look at the Spyderco Shaman, if you go on into Google and type Shaman, Spyderco Shaman scales, and let's say you want to get micarta scales for your Spyderco Shaman, they're like $130. And I was looking at the scales on the TRM site, and the most expensive ones, which I believe are these ones, are $90 or thereabouts at this moment, anyways. As I record this, but there's tons of other, like the G10, you can get all kinds of different colors in. So if you're one of those people that want to switch up your knife just a touch, you can make it look like you're carrying a different knife every day, or you can just totally change the aesthetics of it with a quick and easy zip, and your scale is off. If you take off that scale, which I'm not going to do because it's not my knife, I don't want to strip the T6 bits or anything, but if you took those two screws off and you removed the scale, you would see the titanium liner. The knife is still assembled. The scales are almost separate from the knife. Imagine the knife is made, and it has titanium sides, which are the liners, and then you have these scales put on after with these bits. And I keep saying bits instead of screws. It's early, guys. I'm sure there's so much demand for these TRM knives that the supply is almost always sold out. So I was only able to bring this this video to you, whatever, video tape, oh my god, tape, where am I? Because of NeevesKnives. Jerad and Kara, thank you so much. By the way, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not, if you don't mind. I'm trying to grow. I'm going to do a giveaway pretty shortly at a certain number of subscribers. I'm not firm on that number yet, but I'm thinking around like 500. I'm hoping that I can kind of vamp up the subscribers and do a nice little giveaway. But anyways, let's get back to the TRM Atom. It is obviously a as I've said, thumb stud deployment. That is the only method of deployment. There is a stud on both sides, and they're the same size. And here's your access to the lock bar. It has really, first of all, look at that lockup. I mean, can you ask for anything better than that? But it's got truly meaningful jimping. When I say the word meaningful here, it's not sharp. I don't have to dig my finger in to push it over, or it's not sharp, but my finger grips it, and I like that. I like that a lot. And it's not that hard to push over, but it's not too easy so that you would do it by accident either. Now, I'm going to say this, but bear in mind I've never owned a Chris Reeves knife, but based on what I understand and have seen in other videos, it's not really so much about the action as it is about the usability and the quality. I can flick this knife out, no problem, with my right hand. I can retract it. It's not drop shutty whatsoever. It runs on phosphor bronze washers, which is great, especially for an EDC knife. Phosphor bronze, bearings are great also, and they're really fun for action, but if you really get down to the nitty gritty of what everyday carrying means, I actually kind of like the phosphor bronze on this knife design, to keep it cleaner. And anyways, but it is a very smooth shut. I don't know that it's glassy. I can't compare it to a Sebenza. I've never held one, so I won't say that. But it's not bad at all. Clearly, I mean, they wouldn't be where they are or have the demand that they have if they were a bad knife or a bad action. It's thin. It's super thin, which reminds me, we haven't done any of the measurements yet. Okay. I believe I've taken them already. Yes, I did. So the blade size is 3.5 inches. I'll bring the ruler out just to show you, just to give you 3.5 inches. The handle is 4.7 inches. If I can, maybe I should just put it down. It's 4.7 inches for an overall of 8.2. From tip to heel is 8.2. And my little mini ruler isn't long enough to show you that, but 8.2. It is, I do know the weight, I have weighed it before, but I'll do it for the sake of the video. It comes in at 3 ounces, or in this case 2.9, because the scale wants to show me that I'm wrong. But yes, 3 ounces. It is light. To me, that this is a light knife. I know that like the bug out is what, 2 ounces or 1 point something, but that's also with scales that are people whatever, in liners. But with this knife, you have full steel liners, full carbon fiber scales, in this case anyways, or G10 or whatever ones you choose. In other words, what I'm trying to say here is the structural integrity of the, you're not going to be able to squeeze these liners together. That's what I'm getting at. It's very firm and strong. Let's go to inches. The width at the most is 0.4 inches. The blade stock at its highest is 0.08, almost 0.09 inches. Let me do that in I usually do it the blade portion of this in millimeters, so let me do that just for the sake of it. 2.27, so probably 2.25 really, millimeters stock. The choil is going to be, I'm sure, about the same. And did I just move everything? Yes, I did, but it's okay. Yeah, that should be about the same as the top stock 2.1. Yeah, I'm sure it's about the same. But let's take a look at that choil while we're looking at it. Okay, so you see where your finger can go. You see the ricasso and plunge, right? I'm trying to show you sharpenability, and it's hard to show you, but where the plunge ends and the actual, behind the edge area starts, where you would sharpen, what I'm trying to say is that it's got a nice sharpening choil. You've got plenty of life in it, and they did it pretty well. It's a in my opinion, a semi-easy blade shape to sharpen. No, I did not sharpen this knife. It came from, like I said, Jerad and Kara, and I don't do that to other people's knives, at least without asking or being told I can. But we're talking about Jerad here, so the blade edge geometry, well, the geometry is good, but the edge sharpness is keen. But going back to the geometry, it is nearly I believe they call it a flat grind, but it does kind of have a little top. You can see the arc there, but that barely is anything. It's pretty much a straight flat grind down. So I do like the plunge. I do like the sharpening choil. I like this finish on the blade. I really like the logo actually in the steel, not just some like sticker thing or laser, something that I could wear. It just, I feel like it's a step up. It's attention to detail, and it really shows that they give, you know what, in their product, that they're going to go through that expense to do that. In the base rate of this knife, if you buy it at its standard setup, it's what is it? I think it's $189 on their website. It's out of stock, but it's $189 on their website. With these scales, these particular scales, it's much more expensive. It's about $90 more because of this 3D carbon fiber scales. But again, you can start if you want with a lower, the basic model for 189, and get extra scales later if you wanted to. But the trick is, of course, getting the knife, because it's very difficult to get. If I haven't said it yet, I think I said it at the beginning, but I do want to say that because I was born in Massachusetts, Three Rivers is a place in Massachusetts. So Three Rivers Manufacturing is in Three Rivers, Massachusetts. Before I stray too far from the specifications on this, I want to do some size comparisons to get those out of the way as well. Even though I'm not whatever. Here is an Elementum, Civivi Elementum, and I'm going to try to line it up by pivot, so that you can kind of get an idea of the blade and the handle comparatively. And while I'm doing the Elementum, I might as well do the Wee Banter. Okay, both of which are shorter, clearly. I'm not showing you this because they compare to the TRM in any way whatsoever. I'm showing you so that a lot of people have the Wee Banter, a lot of people have the CVV Elementum. So if you have those, here's a general idea of where this stands. Here, if we go to the heel, you can see that this is a it's 8.2 inches overall, 3.5 inch blade. It's a fairly long blade for that handle. The Elementum handle is not that much shorter. It is shorter, but it's not that much shorter, and you're getting quite a bit more cutting edge. Okay, let's see, what else do I have sitting right here that I can handily throw at you for a comparison. Well, the new Delica that I got. I showed you guys in I believe it should be my last video, depending on where I am. And, of course, no, the filthy bug out. If you look at the cutting edge on the Delica, yeah, you still got a good, like, what, inch of cutting on the Atom. Excuse me. I haven't played with the axis lock in a while. Fidgety. Which is a segue into my next point. Their newest offering is the TRM Shadow. I mentioned earlier it has what they're calling the river lock, which we know as basically the axis lock that Benjamin had. It looks like it's a taller blade, different. I'm sure it does something similar with the scales where you can swap them out. I've seen it on other channels' reviews. I have not seen it in hand, but I would imagine it's pretty cool to have the river lock for fidget factor, I should say. And I believe it's a tougher actual lock as well, but that's neither here nor there because I've never had. I mean, this is a perfect lockup with good materials. Okay. Ergonomics. Like I told you, it's thin. In my opinion, it's thin and very light. I really like that for an EDC knife. There are other knives that I like that I enjoy some weight on. Say a Shaman or this Boker that I got recently. It's got some heft to it, but I like the heft in those knives. But those, while they could be EDC'd, and I do often EDC the Shaman, and a lot of people don't want to carry around such a big, thick, heavy knife every single day. And when you get down to it, we are talking about everyday carry. So the thinness and weight of this, in addition to the quality, let me get that thing off. It's really bugging me. Is preferable to me for everyday carry. I could see myself putting this in my pocket every single day, day in and day out, and not being bothered by it because it's thin in pocket. It's light in your pocket. It's got a great deep carry clip with that. It's very high. It's high up enough to get through any or hold any materials rather. But yes, I keep saying it's very thin, but it's kind of tall. Let's see. Oh, might as well just. At the thickest part, it is 1.15 inches. Yeah, 1.15 inches. So what I'm trying to say here is, compared to, say, I don't know. Can you see that there's a lot? It's taller. The handle is taller. I guess that's the words I'm looking for. To be clear. So with that taller handle, in that swelling or bulbous ending, or not ending, but midpoint rather, which slowly comes down. It fits perfectly in my hand. Here's the back carry. And what I'm trying to say is that the tallness of the handle combined with the thinness of the handle work together to make it still fill my hand. Now, in the back position, where your finger is kind of on that liner lock bar, that jimping is of no nuisance. I don't even feel it. That's another thing that I meant by like it's really meaningful, because when I go to unlock it, I feel it, and it's not harsh, but it's definitely grippy. When I go to use it, as in like use the knife, in this position, I feel obviously the indent, but I don't the jimping doesn't bother me whatsoever. And then in most cases, or a lot of cases, anyways, I choke up in more of my middle finger fits in there, um, and that's still no problem. But the height of the tallness of the scales, or the handle rather, really gives you that fullness in the hand. So while it is only zero point 0.4 inches wide and only 3 ounces, it's which is great. It's still a big knife to me. Like it fills my hand. I have extra room, and it's got a 3.5-inch blade design, and I think that's pretty freaking cool. Uh, Not to mention the fact that you've got a small batch quality CPM 20CV, which will last you quite a while. Um, or it should in theory last you quite a while. Like I said, this is on loan, so it's not like I've worked through an edge and had to sharpen it, so I can't really tell you specifically on this knife. But from everything I hear, their small batch CPM 20CV is really good, as I keep saying. Now, pivot, nothing too special, but it's fine. I kind of would have reversed it if I were them. I would have put the adjustment screw on this side, but that's okay. Whatever, doesn't bother me really. That's this side. Um, Normally I would say something. Everyone says T6 are terrible. Because you strip them out. At least give it T8s, if not T10s. Well, the exception I think would be on something like this. T6, you just have to do it knowing that you're going into it doing T6. Be very careful as you open this up. Open or undo these two screws, because you don't want to strip those bits. I believe they're titanium, by the way, also, but whatever. Um, but if they were bigger, if they were even T8s, instead of T6s, they would take away from the beauty of the scale, and that's really what matters on this particular knife. Is it's a all materials and geometry and everything aside, everything that makes it a great EDC aside, it's fun because you can change the scales. That's a cool thing, and you can be more unique. It's not going to be just the one or two colors of this. Unless you get a sprint run or something on other knives, you can get scales for this very easily, and there's so many of them, as I keep saying. You have three of the titanium standoffs. The screws on the clip under the clip are T6 as well. So all of the screws or Torx bits that you need to take the scales off are T6. To disassemble, you would need larger. I believe T8 for the pivot. What do you guys think of it? What do you think of the way it is? I mean, obviously availability it's one of those things. If it was readily available, would the hype be so high? I don't know. But because of the hype, I was excited to get my hands on it. And in the process of that, I have really come to like this knife. Not because other reviewers say they like it. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty popular knife amongst the EDC channel community. I've seen a couple videos, I believe, but nothing that I've specifically seeked out because I wanted to get come to my own conclusions. But I'm sure I've seen it, you know, because I watch the channels all the time. Um, I like this knife for EDC. I like this knife, and I keep specifying that because this is not the knife I'm gonna use to sit on the couch and fidget with. I mean, you unless just this is fidgeting to you, you know. Yes, you can deploy it fast. Yes, it's one-handed. Yes, it's good quality and smooth, but it's not unless this is fidgeting to you. I think of fidgeting more as um, something like this. It's hard to do under the camera, but or that I can't reach it now, but the Benchmade axis lock, or again another compression lock. I mean, but this is a little easier to do under the camera. I just got a low power warning, so I gotta. Looks like I've made this video long. What else can I tell you about this knife? Oh, lefties. Probably not gonna like it. You can't flip this clip over to the other side, and the access to the stud is extremely limited. Not many people can use it unless you go straight up at it and purposely push it out like that. So you can do it. It's not like you can't, but it's not as easy as the right side. You see the difference in the room that you have clearly. Also, take a look at the cross section of the carbon fiber. It gives you an idea of not only that it's real carbon fiber, but of the quality. So for a knife that's 100% USA made and specifically designed and built to be that way, proudly that way, and is even kind of local to me, um, in a small batch super steel, in this way, with this length of a blade, I really think this is a perfect option for an EDC knife. Are there other options that are cheaper that would work? Well, of course, absolutely. But if you can get your hands, if you have the means to get your hands on one of these, both between financially and logistically, and you want a lightweight knife, if this suits your fancy, if the idea of swapping the scales is cool, I would tell you that this is a knife that I personally, anyways, could carry this knife every day and enjoy it. I would probably carry other knives because I'm a knife guy, but this knife I could easily carry every single day, and that's key. Obviously, it's a drop point. I don't think I even said those words yet, but if you didn't know, it's a drop point blade. Although it's almost a spear shape if you really look at it, but it's a drop point for all intents and purposes. I really love the arc back. It kind of reminds me of the Spyderco emphasis I just did. The long line right there. You see that? Or it's just a continuous long line. Oh, I said I was going to get back to the gym being on top. You know, for an EDC knife, it's not really going to be my work knife. I could use it as a work knife, but I would probably, if I were going to do work, like real work, I would probably bring a shaman or something a little more thick, basically, because it comes down to a nice thin edge. Could this do the job? I'm sure it could, absolutely. But the fact is, I'm a knife guy. I like multiple knives, and I enjoy fidgeting. So I carry multiple knives. What was I trying to say, though? I lost my train of thought. Completely gone. Other than that, I think I've covered pretty much everything there is. The pocket clip works very well. You can see that it's inset into the carbon fiber, so it is going to stay nice and stiff as pretty as longer than as if it weren't. Being in there with those two screws, it's much more structurally sound. And I just can't get over the scales. I can't get over the weight to blade and handle to blade ratio, I mean, they really maximize that, I would say. Don't you? Perfectly straight, by the way. You know, okay, and I'm not trying to go along with any other people who have reviewed this knife. I'm not trying to go with the hype. I'm not trying to build the hype. I'm just telling you that this knife, amongst many, would be a great EDC, and I would be proud to have this and own this and carry this every day. That having been said, what do you think about the TRM company, the Atom? Tell me about the Neutron, the Shadow. Let me know down below. My biggest gripe is I can't get it, but I think if I could get it easily, I think a lot of people wouldn't be so after it. You know what I mean? That effect where if you can't have it, you want it. But that's not why I would want this knife. I just truly like pretty much everything about it. This knife is simple. It's a knife. It's a high quality USA made knife that's customizable, easily changed. You know, it doesn't take an expert knife repair person to swap the scales. So you can walk around with a powdered CPM 20 CV super steel knife with all titanium parts, all the good structural things you want or need at 3 ounces, 3.5 inch blade length, 8 inch overall, basically a little longer, but it's to me it's almost like the ideal EDC. Not suiting to fidgeting, not suiting to just an everyday carry. Anyways, I'm gonna get off that topic. Take another good look at this knife before my phone dies. Look at that nice bevel. I'll try to insert some pictures or clips of me using the knife. I believe I have some recorded already. What is that thing inside that groove? I've got to get that out. It's bugging me. It's like a piece of cardboard shaving or something. Anyways, and again, if the cost with these scales leaves a bad taste in your mouth, get a set. You know, start with the basic set and go from there. But damn, are these scales nice? They like those flutes that I call them really pick up light in different angles, and it's just really cool. I can see the whole logo there. Same on the other side, TRM USA 20CV. Somehow a little bit more fidgeting wouldn't bother me, so, if it didn't compromise anything else, and for me the availability, because when my knife fund is at that level, I would like to get one, but it's not easy to get, and because it comes out in small batches, oftentimes I can't get it when it is available, and it's only available for a very short time. So personally, I would like to see more people being able to get their hands on them without having to go to the secondary market or just drool looking at YouTube channels with them. Okay, guys, I think that's it. If it's not, I'll add more to it. But hey, I'm super excited to show you this. As I said, I never thought I would really get one in hand because of the availability. Thank you, Kara and Jerad, for loaning this to me. I've had a blast with it. Someday you'll get it back. I still have a couple more knives of theirs to look at, so stand by for more reviews. We'll be back. Have a great day and stay safe. Hope you enjoyed my overview of the TRM Atom. If you did, hit thumbs up and please consider subscribing.